Welcome to The Human Element, presented by Whisk. I'm your host, Barb Bidan, and in each episode, I sit down with CHROs and senior HR leaders to explore how AI, innovation, and human insight are reshaping the future of HR. We'll explore how technology is reshaping leadership, strategy, and the role of HR by sharing candid stories, practical ideas, and strategic perspectives to help you shape the future. The Human Element is brought to you by Whisk, the leader in agentic HR and creator of Harper, the world's first AI HR generalist. Learn how Harper can resolve up to 80% of routine HR tasks autonomously. Learn more about Whisk at whisk.com. Today I have Remko Verheul with me. Remko is the Senior Vice President and Head of People at Wrike. Remko brings over 25 years of global HR leadership experience. He is known for guiding high-growth, high-impact brands through cultural transformation, integrations, building high-performing teams all along the way. Remko focuses on people-first growth and aligning employee experience, workforce strategy, and organizational change as key levers for scaling performance. So I'm looking forward to speaking to you today, Remko. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for the invite and looking forward.
I am very much looking forward to hearing how Wrike is thinking about AI, specifically with some familiarity with the platform. How are you thinking about the idea of framing human intelligence plus AI equals organizational intelligence? I know that's something that is top of mind for you.
Yes, it is. And to me, the concept of the equation of human intelligence plus AI is organizational intelligence is a guiding principle to be able to drive an organization towards what is the value of organizing work through a platform, but combining human interest on one hand side and on the other hand side, supporting new features and new developments with AI. I tend to think that if you look at it into more detail, what it basically implies that equation and that concept to say so is that AI is bringing value to organizations, but we should never underestimate and actually value the value of human intelligence and human empathy. And in that sense, AI is not about replacing humans, but it's all about amplifying what makes us unique and human. And that's where I think that concept comes ahead. But it also shows that the one cannot go without the other. Yes, you need the human intelligence, but you also need the AI intelligence to bring value to the organization. Hence the concept, human intelligence plus artificial intelligence brings organizational intelligence and value.
Awesome. You're on the right podcast because I agree fully, right, with the human element. It's really all about combining the two for maximum efficiency. What do you think is the biggest opportunity that AI creates for efficiency in your business?
In our business, it's basically twofold. It's internal and obviously to what we do for our customers. So let me talk a bit more about internal, because that's obviously in my role a bit more relevant.
Absolutely.
And we eat our own dog food. So we use our platform across every function, every department. And that means that all of our workflows are connected from product design to GTM to what that means from a financial point of view. And that all goes through the same platform. And what we're doing is in essence connecting obviously all of those workflows, which is part of the 20 years of history of Wrike. But now we're building agents on top of that and also creating an environment that allows our users, which would be the same for customers, to basically deploy those agents. So an example is that we've recently now launched our MCP protocol server. And with that, we're allowing people in the organization or customers to connect language models into the data repository that's available within the platform. And that's what we're trying to do. Our vision is to create an environment where work gets done, which is part of our philosophy, and enabling an environment where this all comes together. And we believe that in the future, it's all about the agentic environment and platform. And that's what we're targeting at. Some good examples are how work is being processed through various flows. And what we see is that people are utilizing the internal AI agents to get updates on, hey, our projects are at risks or are certain initiatives performing well, Or do we need to have a bubble up reporting?
Awesome. I love it. When you speak to your HR team, what is another example of where you are integrating AI into the way your team works on a daily basis in your workflow?
Yeah, we do it, I would say, from three angles. One is from, let's say, very pragmatic from in the hiring environment. So we use various tools and platforms to streamline hiring with AI, which comes to play interview notes taking that are automatically put into scoring of competencies and skills. And of course, there's a check then done by the interviewers, but it helps us to prevent bias in the hiring process and to enable people to take decisions based upon what's been discussed and not what's been, let's say, imagined or presumed. So that's one. From a company point of view, it's a big focus to enable the organization to obviously embrace AI, which is at the heart of our company. And what we're doing is two things. We are having a top-down approach and a bottom-up approach. And basically they come together obviously in the middle. From a top-down perspective, we very clearly orchestrate, okay, which teams and departments are going to end-to-end develop new workflows with agents. And bottom up is we are experimenting and creating an environment where the user base is creating and developing agents to be used in the work environment. And that's our key approach there. So that's the kind of the second pillar that we look at. Yeah.
Super smart. I'm assuming that really requires a lot of alignment in thinking, right? If you've got that top-down, bottoms-up approach. What pitfalls do you think exist when companies try to automate without having alignment?
I observe, let's say, think, because it's a bit of a combination of both in that sense that the biggest pitfall can be that not basically putting your resources / your investments to the right direction. So it's great to have processes running, but you need to aim the ship to say so. I don't like using the word gun. And that's one that's a big pitfall. If you only have it done user-based bottom up, there is a potential risk. I'm not saying it's there, but there's a potential risk that it's losing, let's say, the aim perspective. Hence, you also need some top-down directional perspective. Okay, that's where we're going. I think next to that, which relates more to AI in general, is that I think as leaders of companies, we need to be very visible about very vocal about what's happening around AI. And that means being visible about and showing visibility towards what we know and towards what we don't know, and sharing also our vulnerability in that, because there are questions where we don't have the answers to. There are also things that we may have a kind of a directional perspective to, but there are certainly a lot of questions that we don't know the answer to, and that's okay. And let's be visible towards that and also be vulnerable and being open of what we don't know and what we don't know.
That's great. Leaders being out there, vocal on the topic, being vulnerable alongside their teams about what they don't know with respect to AI, which I assume also helps teams to be able to be vulnerable about what they don't know. Is there anything else that you are looking for, asking for from leaders in your organization in terms of how you're wanting them to evolve in an AI-enabled workplace?
Yeah, there's a couple of things there. First of all, I ask our leaders to ensure in their entire functions and teams that they put AI first in recruitment. And what I mean with that is, yes, we will develop our people towards being leaders in the world of AI, but also the people that we get on board need to be AI mindset first. So that's one. Secondly, there is always the question that comes back to when there is a proposal or let's say a plan for doing something. Okay, what AI elements are in there and what can you do different with utilizing AI more? So that's part of our, let's say, the way how we work these days. And that's, I think, with that, we're making it part of the DNA in the company.
I think that's fantastic. And I can't not ask about the idea of candidates being AI ready, right? And wanting leaders to look for that in candidates. Totally off track here a little bit, but if you were talking to a candidate, what would you suggest that a job candidate do to be able to answer the question when they're asked in an interview, what are you doing to become a lifelong learner and build AI into your set of skills?
Yeah, for me, that starts with inquisitive or inquiry mindset. So a mindset is always curious to challenge the status quo. So I'm trying to identify as an interviewer, and hence the advice to candidates is show your curiosity. And that's not only by having done your research, but also by, for example, prepping and rolling your research through some of the language models out there and get critical feedback. And typically that would be like, hey, if you've, let's say, prepared, for example, if you're doing a case presentation, ask the counter question, hey, what are the weak elements here? Or what would be the, let's say, the opponent view towards these proposals? That's, like, in essence, it's all about that curious mindset and applying a curious approach to everything you do with a perspective to improve and make things better.
I love it. It's not about knowing everything as a candidate coming in, just like you're not expecting your managers to know everything and show vulnerability around what they don't know, but having a curious mindset alongside of the things that you don't know sounds like what you're looking for, which sounds great. These sessions go by so fast. I could ask you 50 more questions, but we are going to hit our lightning round if that works for you. Remko, what would you say is one misconception about AI in the workplace today?
I think the biggest misconception is that AI is a threat to work. I think AI is a enricher of work. In my perspective, and I think that's also the direction, AI will make work much more interesting, and AI will grow the value of individuals and companies. And as such, the misconception is that is the biggest threat to the working environment, and with working environment, people and employees and leaders embrace it, take it on, work with it, and see it as your best friend, best companion at work. And when you do that smart, you will earn more money, you will deliver more sales, you will ship your product faster. And with that, you make your work more interesting.
Absolutely agree. What about one book, podcast, or resource? And if you can definitely name one across more than one category that you'd recommend to HR leaders like ourselves who are exploring AI.
One resource that I like a lot, which is it's not a podcast or a book, but that I utilize probably weekly. And it's called There's an AI for That. And basically, if you go into to that, you can basically prompt, okay, I want to do this. And then it comes with a couple of suggestions of AI models or software products that you can use for that. So that's what I like a lot. Yeah.
Well, I actually know for sure that I need to get that from you because I feel like that's the question that I walk around with in my brain on a daily basis. And I've said to my team is just asking yourself the question, how can I use AI to make what I'm about to do quicker, better, more efficient before you start doing it? So sounds like that particular resource would be a great add and help me answer that question regularly. Thank you for that. Wrapping up here, I think, Remko, what I heard as top of mind from our conversation is what I'm hearing every HR leader that I talk to share, which is so reassuring that AI is not about replacing humans, right? It is about amplifying the human aspects of the work that we do by taking the mundane, repetitive, lower value tasks off of our plates so that we can be more human. And that was where we started. I loved how you're applying this top-down, bottom-up approach at Wrike to both as a company, put the tools in the hands of the humans as a corporation, but also putting tools in the hands of the humans at a grassroots level, letting them experiment, and then having some form of governance in the middle so that the trains stay on the track, so to speak. I think that's so smart. I really appreciate you joining me today. And as we wrap up, I've got one last question. What piece of advice would you leave HR leaders with if they're just starting that journey of incorporating AI into their work processes?
For me, and that's my kind of approach to HR, but also to leadership, it's all about the ability to zoom in and to zoom out. One day you be in, let's say, in a zoomed in, let's say either conflict, and zoomed out, okay, what direction do we need to go as a organization? And I truly believe that's where the power of AI comes to the table. Hey, you were initially talking about some low repetitive work that can be done, let's say zoomed in into the task, but you can also utilize this as a zoomed out, challenging partner. And when you have your strategy prepped or you have your kind of strategic direction prepped, go prompting with the models and see it as your challenging partner before you go into a board meeting. So my advice is run all your proposals through the models and get feedback and prompt the models to provide feedback from different angles. Yeah, and to a certain extent, I sometimes prompt in a way like, hey, this is the CFO type, this is the CEO type. Give me feedback that I can expect to receive.
Totally. I actually have a board agent that I use that tests on the specific questions for anything that's board facing. But that example, like you're saying, could be used across our teams to whoever they're presenting to pressure test their thinking. So yes, not only to get the mundane work off of our plate, but to elevate our work is what I hear you saying by pressure testing it, helping us make the work that we have better using AI as a brainstorming partner. This was an excellent conversation, Remko. I hope you enjoyed it as well. It was really great to meet you for the first time. And thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Barb. I'm looking forward to hearing more of you in the next podcast.
Awesome. Thanks, Remko. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on The Human Element, presented by Whisk. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to follow The Human Element wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Barb Bidan. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.